Hello, everyone. So it is mid-October. Cold and flu season is in full swing, and there's been some nasty viruses going around here in Nova Scotia, up here in Canada, where I'm located, and I'm sure that's probably the case in other parts of the country and other parts of the world too. And I thought I would just post a quick video about the types of supports that I use personally myself, that I use personally for me, my family, and then also the things that I recommend for my patients as well, which are really one of the same, because I really treat my patients like their family in terms of wanting the best care for them, of course. So as per usual, nothing I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. So I have used a lot of different protocols over the course of time to help folks either prevent colds and flus from setting in, or help to reduce the duration of them, or some folks just get sick like every couple of weeks, especially kids. Those they spend a lot of time in those petri dishes known as classrooms, and used a lot of different things over the course of time. And what I have learned in my 16 years of practice is that there's no one size fits all for everyone. Some patients come in saying like they swear by vitamin C, they works like a charm for them. Some folks find that that product Cold FX, which is a antigraphis based extract of memory serves, works for them. Some people love good old echinacea. Some people really like oil of oregano. Like there's lots of different things that are out there that some folks just find works really well for them. And my adage is, or my motto is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it's working for someone, then wonderful. However, when patients come in saying that they're feeling sick and they're taking their zinc, they're taking their vitamin C, they're taking their echinacea, they're taking their whatever concoction, and it's not working like a charm. They're still getting sick. Maybe it's helping to reduce the duration a little bit, but it's not like a knocking it out of the park kind of protocol. Then I recommend I recommend to them my favorite combination of things. So I'm going to share that with you folks today. So the one thing, just kind of a little backdrop, and it's not like terribly avant-garde or exciting, but it just is an important thing to note, is that we do want to take into account what the overall health level of the patient is, what their overall kind of physiology is looking like. So for example, if someone is vitamin D deficient, if someone's running themselves ragged, they're not getting enough sleep, they're eating really poorly, not having good nutrition, they're eating too much sugar, that type of thing. They're not practicing good, hygiene, where, I don't know, they're like not, they're going to the mall and touching lots of different things, these surfaces where viruses and things like that could be harbored, which the technical term for that is a fomite, and then they're not washing their hands and they're touching their face and this and that. Like, there are certain things that, like just lifestyle things, kind of basic physiological things that are really important that, well, from this perspective, in life, there are things that are more important than this, I suppose. But for the purposes of this topic, very important to have those things in place. So if someone comes in and they are just really not taking good care of themselves, they're not exercising, etc. Like there are the things that I'm going to talk about coming up can still be very helpful, but having a really good, solid health foundation really goes a long way. Now, the frustrating thing is that some folks are taking really good care of themselves, they're eating well, they're exercising, and they're still getting sick too often, and that happens. Like I take very good care of myself, and my kids bring home germs from school, from play dates and stuff like that, and I'm fighting off stuff on a semi-regular basis. So just because we're taking good care of ourselves doesn't mean that we don't fall prey or aren't susceptible to viruses, but just wanted to mention that as a general caveat. On the topic of vitamin D, one thing that I do recommend for my patients, if they're willing and able to, is to get their vitamin D levels tested, because it's just nice to know whether or not someone is actually vitamin D deficient or not. So I've had patients where we're trying our darndest to like help bolster their immune system, or more commonly they've maybe been working with other clinicians and they've tried all these different things and all the different pills and potions and everything, and they're still getting sick too often. We get their vitamin D tested, and they're taking their token, like 2,000 IUs, maybe 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. They're still getting sick all the time, and their vitamin D levels like super low. So vitamin D status is really important. A lot of other things are not going to work nearly as well for immune system boosting if vitamin D status is low. So that is one very important backdrop. So getting into the more practical tools, if I feel a cold coming on or whatnot, like what do I do personally? My favorite things, the things that I found work the very best, are using a throat spray and a nasal spray. I really like using a diluted frankincense essential oil throat spray and nasal spray. So I, concoct it myself. It's basically a mix of frankincense and sterile saline mixed with some frankincense essential oil. Okay, so it's diluted down. Definitely don't want to put straight frankincense in our noses, anyways. Back to the throat, I guess that would be okay, but it can be very, very irritating and excoriating. So definitely better to dilute it down. But so using a frankincense nasal spray and a throat spray. And so what I do personally is at the first signs of any cold or flu symptoms, so getting a scratchy throat, starting to feel a little bit stuffy, maybe feeling a bit run down, and just kind of we all know those initial symptoms, those prodromal symptoms as they're called, where it's like, oh, I know I'm fighting something off. At the first inkling of that, I start using my nasal spray and throat spray a few times a day. And the idea there is that I'm fumigating the areas where the viruses are harboring, where they are trying to build up their numbers, where they are trying to get past my immune system defenses. So I want to fumigate those areas. If I don't fumigate those areas, then I am relying solely on my immune system to fight off those viruses. And while my immune system is strong and robust and healthy, these viruses are very smart. They've evolved alongside of us over the course of time to the point where we've never become fully immune to those rhinoviruses, those coronaviruses, things like that, that can cause common colds and flus. Obviously talking about standard coronaviruses, not COVID-19. That's a very special type of coronavirus, shall we say. So long and short of it is my strategy is to, yes, rely on my immune system. That does the lion's share of the work, but I want to fumigate those areas as well. So in my opinion, based on my clinical experience and my personal experience, an anti-infectious protocol that doesn't involve a throat spray and a nasal spray is not the strongest protocol that one could work with. So I'm fumigating those areas at the first signs of any infection, and I continue to fumigate a few times a day until I feel no inkling of any symptoms whatsoever. If I do still get sick, and I find in my experience about 90% of the time, if I do this and I catch it early enough, I don't get sick. I might feel like I'm fighting stuff off for like a couple of days maybe, but 90% of the time it passes just as quickly as it came, and I don't fully get sick, which is awesome. If I do get sick, which does happen from time to time, then I never have symptoms for more than a couple of days at a time. For like a 2-day duration. So it can, like, I have many patients where they'll come in saying, oh, I've been sick for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And like, I empathize with you. I understand what you're saying, but I've never had that experience myself. And hopefully I never will. I plan to keep spraying. So it's been working really well for me. I'm in my mid 40s. So, it's been treating me well for a while now. So the fumigation, in my opinion, is really important. What I further do, just because I can't take days off of work, or sometimes I have to do telemedicine from home or whatnot, but I don't have sick days or anything like that. I have too many patients, and then at home I have too many children, so like I'm just too busy. I can't get sick. I don't have time to get sick, and so for me, even if there's some sickness going around in my house. So, my kids come home, they get the sniffles, whatever it is. Like, if somebody else in the house is sick, like, even if I'm not having any symptoms, I will still start spraying. If they tell me that, like, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so in their class are sick, and they weren't there that day because they've been sick and there's been stuff going around the school, I will start to spray. So I'm a little bit maybe overzealous with my spray, but there's no downside to using the spray. So I figure, you know what, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so I'm going to use the spray. So being fastidious with my nasal and throat spray is really the workhorse of my cold and flu protocol. There are some other bells and whistles that I will add into the mix with my patients, depending on what's going on, and sometimes for me too. I do like working with antivirals as well. So we have this nice antiviral herbal blend. It's inspired by the late, great Stephen Buhner, wonderful esteemed herbalist. He has a wonderful book called Herbal Antivirals, where he talks about all these herbs, but they're the best antiviral herbs, to my understanding and in my experience, are Chinese skullcap, an herb called Isatis, an herb called Hutunia, and an herb called Boneset. And so those are some of the strongest antiviral herbs to my knowledge. So using a combination of those herbs in a tincture form, or something I'll use commonly. There are other antiviral agents that are out there as well, of course, but that combination is one of my favorites. I'll sometimes take a bit of extra zinc, or recommend some extra zinc to my patients. And then I also really like thymus gland extract. There's this product by a company called Vitazan. They're a Canadian company. I have no financial affiliation with them whatsoever, but they make a really nice formula. It's a combination of thymus gland extract from lambs, I think, or sheep, I think. Maybe it's from pig. I can't remember now off the top of my head. I have to check the bottle. And then there's a pretty hefty dose of zinc in there as well, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 there. And then there's some astragalus root extract in there as well, which I honestly don't know how important that is. I like astragalus root. I just don't know how much it makes the formula pop, but that's in there. And so I really like the Thymopress product. So that I think is a good immune system booster. And then I also like bovine colostrum as well. So bovine colostrum has antibodies from cow colostrum, that first bit of milk that's produced after a mammal gives birth, known as colostrum, and so that can be purified and used in supplemental form. And here in Canada, we don't have access to this, but just there's a kind of a corollary product where it's actually a bovine serum IgG antibody, so you can get bovine like serum immunoglobulins, and my understanding is that can work well and maybe even better than the colostrum, but we just don't have access to that here in Canada. Not for any good reason, just that's what our government has said. So those are some of the immune system boosters that I work with, but really it's the throat spray and the nasal spray. Those are the workhorses, and then there's additional adjuncts over and above that. There are other things out there depending on the nuances of the situation, but I've been prattling on about this long enough. I'm 11 minutes in a video, which is sacrilege on social media, so I'm going to leave it there for now. If you wouldn't mind, please taking a quick moment to like, share, subscribe, and or post a quick comment on the video. I'd really appreciate it, so thanks in advance for taking a second to do that. And if you are so inclined, if you don't mind sharing in the comment section what works for you, for your cold and flu prevention or treatment needs. What are your magic bullets? Anything that I didn't list or anything I did list that you like, or just always curious to hear. Maybe there's things you're using that I've never heard of before. I know folks read the comment section. I read the comments as well. So learning opportunity for me and folks who are looking at the comment section. So if you decide to share, thanks in advance for taking a second to do that. Any questions on this topic or anything else, just post in the comment section below, and I will leave it there for now.